not trusting the media. We're not trusting what we see, what people say, because they could say one thing, but we go, that doesn't smell right. We can sense that. And that's why being authentic is so valuable. You know what? If you're a funny person, bring that funniness to your business. Okay? If you're someone who's extremely knowledgeable about facts and figures, bring that in. But that authenticity will pay off, because also when you're trying to be like someone else, that connection to your potential clients, your dream clients are going to be magnetized to you because they're going to feel that energy.
Welcome back to Time-Tested Mastery Life Lessons Sell, the show about trust-based selling, leadership, discipline, and the real-world lessons that hold up under pressure. Today's guest is Christine Blosdale, known as the Expert Authority Coach. Christine has spent over 25 years in media, branding, and marketing, helping entrepreneurs, coaches, authors, and thought leaders get seen, heard, trusted, and paid as the go-to expert in their space. Christine is also the host of the Expert Authority Coach podcast, and she brings a practical, no-fluff approach to positioning. How to communicate your value clearly, become memorable, and earn trust without sounding hypey, scripted, or desperate. If you're a self-employed professional or a salesperson trying to stand out in a crowded market, today's conversation is built for you. We're going to cover how to create a real, unique selling proposition, how to sharpen your message, what visibility actually means, and the common mistakes that keep good people invisible. So Christine, welcome to the show. Let's start here. For listeners meeting you for the first time, who do you help and what problems do you solve?
Hi, Mark. Thank you so much, first of all, for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. And especially I get the opportunity to talk to your amazing listeners, which I've been looking forward to.
I'm so grateful that you're here. Why don't you share, Christine, with everybody who you help and what you do?
Yes. Okay. So I am very lucky. I am actually based in Australia, born and raised in the United States in Southern California. And about 5 years ago, well, when COVID happened, I landed here in Australia to be with my wife, and I could not come back to the United States, so I really had to be here. And my joy is working with my clients from all over the world, but I do have quite a few that are there in the United States. And what I do is I help them expand their expert authority. And it's because out of a problem that I saw. What I noticed that during COVID, part of my job was helping people create branded business podcasts to promote their business. But then I realized that the majority of my clients, what they actually needed and wanted, I finally listened. And this is what I tell all salespeople, all coaches, all entrepreneurs. Many of my clients are, I have real estate agents as clients. I have coaches as clients. And I say that what we need to do is we need to actually figure out what our potential clients and customers, what they actually want and need, and not just what we want to feed them, what we want to sell. And that's a real light bulb moment for many people, because a lot of times they say, but I've been pushing this program or I've been pushing this sale for this particular thing, and they haven't listened to their audience or to the people that they could be connecting with and actually getting them something that they really want and need. So that's my thing, and I work on their branding and messaging and website, all of that, to make sure that they're communicating a very clear message.
Well, that is a powerful point, is to make sure that you're listening to your clients, which is professional sales 101, isn't it?
Yeah. And we get caught up and we forget, because a lot of times we get into our careers with a lot of passion, right? We're passionate about certain things. We might be passionate about the potential of making money, but we'll soon find out that we can get burned out on that if that's just your goal. So I know from my standpoint, some of the best agents not only are very passionate about what they do, but they actually listen to their clients, and they actually listen to what they want and what they need and what they're capable of doing. So with every great coach and every great real estate agent, it really is about the skill set of listening. Communicating too, clearly, but really listening to the client.
Are there three things that you recognize that a lot of people still just don't get about being visible and marketing themselves well?
Yes. A big mistake is people say, well, I post on social media. I post these every day I'm posting and I'm not getting any calls. And just because you're posting content, especially as we know, we live in a very interactive world and we're in a very short attention span world. And what I do is I encourage my clients, instead of just posting, an image, let's say, of a listing or a static graphic and then lots of text. And let's be honest, a lot of people are using Chat GPT right now to create that content. And it feels Chat GPT-ish, right? There's no human connection. And I say one of the most powerful things you can do is video, because when you're recording a video you can just be in your car talking about maybe the marketplace or talking about some trend that's happening or things that people can do if they're selling their home, little tips that you can do. You want to establish your expert authority as the person that knows a lot about your industry, right? And so if you're
Hmm.
able to get on your phone, it's like a film crew in your pocket, and talk about those tips or strategies, those things that you know as an expert, then that helps greatly. But it also creates trust. And probably the biggest thing with agents is that they need to be trustworthy, right? And likable,
Right.
right? We were talking earlier too, before we hit record too, is about the concept is that some real estate agents, the perception of real estate agents is that just above a used car salesman. And nothing against used car
Mm.
salesmen, because I know lots of used car salesmen that are honest and
Right.
they have great ethics, right? Because everybody needs a car. Not everybody could buy a new one. So, what we do need to do is we need to clean up that misconception about agents. And that's done a lot through video, because you can see the person's eyes, you can see their mannerisms, how they talk, if they're likable, all of that stuff. It's very powerful.
Yeah. One of the things that I really take to heart in my coaching is that I believe that what makes you the best salesperson that you can probably be is to be yourself. And
Yes.
most training programs are designed to get people to behave like someone else. Either there's a coach selling a system, or there's a coach selling a script, or there is a particular marketing plan or magazine or tool that somebody is trying to promote. But the greatest asset that you have is being the best you that you can be. And
Yeah.
what better way to do that than showing yourself on video? And so many agents are afraid of that.
And you know what? And the engagement is so much higher when if you're focusing on social media, let's say on Facebook or Instagram, your connection with the audience and the views and the comments and things are so much higher when it's video, especially when it's you on video. And you hit a point, Mark, which is really important. And we are at a place in human history where we as a human species, we're craving authenticity. We're craving relatability. We're craving connection to people that are real, because as a species, we are able to see a lie much easier now. We see it all around us. We see it in culture. We see it in Hollywood, in the music industry, in politics, that those big institutions, all that glitters is not gold. And we're not trusting the media. We're not trusting what we see, what people
Right.
say, because they could say one thing, but we go, that doesn't smell right. So we can sense that. And that's why being authentic is so valuable. You know what? If you're a
Right.
funny person, bring that funniness to your business. Okay? If you're
Yeah.
someone who's extremely knowledgeable about facts and figures, bring that in. But that authenticity will pay off, because also when you're trying to
Mhm.
be like someone else, there that connection to your potential clients that are going to be your dream clients too, not people that you hate dealing with, but your dream clients are going to be magnetized to you because they're going to feel that energy. For myself, and as we know, Mark, especially in the industry of real estate, one of the most important things is a professional headshot, right? It's that image. That's
Mhm.
the first thing that people are going to see when there's a for sale sign, when it's sold, all those great things. And so my advice to agents is to invest in a really good photographer. Find your local photographer who specializes not in weddings, but in headshots, right? And make sure that you get as many good shots as you can, because you can use them in different, repurpose them in different things. But the reason why I say that, and now for the folks that are watching this on YouTube, you can see what I'm holding up. But Mark knows here, this is a media kit that I have, right? And in my media kit, this photo, this image of me, I use this image on my business cards, on my website. I've sent it to podcast hosts, to journalists. And that image of me, the energy that's bouncing off from the image to the person's eyeballs, is one of pure joy and ecstatic. Like the expression on my face is insane. My eye, you can't even see my eyes because my mouth is open. I've got my headphones on. I'm in my element, right? But
Right.
that image has gotten me through so many doors. And it's the same thing for agents. You really need to concentrate on that image and that it represents really you and who you are. So
Yeah.
those are a couple things that I think are really important. But authenticity, it's a winner.
Absolutely. So there's two thoughts that come to mind when I see that photo of you, and there is a lot of energy that comes through it. When I was putting together a promotional piece for my coaching business, the fella that was doing the design took a picture that I mean, I was making a face that had a lot of energy to it. And I'm thinking, that doesn't look like me, or I don't want that to look like me. But it was me, and it was me in a way that is not reserved and wasn't holding things back.
Right?
And so he said, that's the one that you want to be using. So that's one. The other one, you talked about using that same headshot in many of your promotional materials. And what I tell people is that part of your branding, whether it is something that you're sending snail mail, whether it's a for sale sign that you have, whether it is your social media, whether it's an advertisement on a billboard, if you have the same picture over and over and over that you're using in your marketing, people will say, well, I see you everywhere,
Yeah.
because they see you across different things. So I think that's great advice, to use that kind of a headshot.
That particular image that you find that really sums you up, you may not know what it is, just like you were saying, like, well, I would never use that image, or I wouldn't think that that would really work. You do, because we're so involved. And I know as agents, man, there's so many things that there's so many spinning plates, right? You got to do this. You got to be, you got to be a copywriter. You got to be a marketing agent. You got to do advertising. You got to do all these different things, and actually dealing with the clients, right? So sometimes you need an outside person, because we have blinders on many times as solopreneurs, as people who own our own business, or even if we were working for a big company. We're so focused on the task at hand that sometimes we need an outside person. If that's a mentor for you, or a coach like yourself, so somebody that's from the outside that can look in, and they can look at your messaging, they can look at those images that you're using, they can look at your website or your profile that you have. And when you have somebody from the outside looking in, they can find those things that are going to hit, right? They're going to find the things that are working, and the things that are not working. And that's what I do with my clients. I make sure I look at their digital footprint, I look at their website, I look at their social media, and I'll tell them what is working. Hey, this is great. But then I'll also say, maybe these are some things that you want to do in the meantime as you're expanding your expert authority.
Perfect. Perfect. Well, and that's a great lead into a question that I have for you. A lot of people will talk about an elevator pitch. They need to get the essence of who they are out in a very short, brief period of time to people. Can you describe sort of the process of what somebody needs to get across that makes them memorable quickly?
So I do this with all different types of clients. And one of the very first things that we do is we actually create a media kit. And you may never use the media kit, right? You may never be interviewed on a podcast or asked to comment on the industry for a magazine or a newspaper, right? But the media kit is more for you than for the outside world. And what I had shown you was, with that image, was the front cover of my media kit. And there is just space for a mini bio, okay? Nobody likes huge, miles and miles and miles of text. So if you go to somebody's website and you go, oh, I want to learn more about this agent, or I want to, find out their expertise. And it's just copy and it goes on forever and ever and ever. People check out. I'm done. So we want to keep things concise, and we want to have we want to billboard it. The things that are the most important, we want to have right away. So it's sort of like when I'm working with people and they say, well, I need to do a social media video. I need to do a reel or a TikTok. And I'm like, in the first 3 seconds, you need to grab people's attention. So in that media kit, what we do is we sit down and we co-create it, right? A lot of times I love giving people titles. And when I talk about titles, so I could be, let's say I was an agent. I could be Christine Blosdale, real estate agent, right? Or a real estate expert. Right. Okay. But what I find is that when you have an unusual title or something that you can add to your title that makes you stand out, but is true, then you'll get more attention. So if I was a real estate agent, my wife is, but let's say I am, instead of just saying, real estate agent, I might be, calling myself the real estate expert who cares, or the real estate expert, or the funny real estate expert, or whatever I want to pull out that's different and important. So that's super, super important. The other thing is that media kit is going to constantly remind you what your elevator pitch is, right? And so many times when people say, so what do you do? We go around and around and we say all these different things and we're not to the point, and we need to get right to the point, right? We need to get right to the point. And if you have accolades, if you are listed as the number one agent in your area, don't be shy. Talk about that. People want to know. If I'm going to a heart surgeon, do I want, a heart surgeon who is number 50 in a ranking, or do I want to go to the number one heart surgeon? I want to go to the number one, right? So if you have those things, don't be shy about it. You're not bragging. You're just informing your audience or your potential clients that you're really good at what you do, right?
Yeah.
And own that. If you're good at what you do, own it. Don't be shy.
Yeah. Awesome. That's great advice. So in talking about being visible, most people, and you brought this up earlier, think that posting regularly is being visible. What's the reality? What does visibility really mean?
Posting is wonderful and all, and it's important to talk about the things that you, especially if you need to talk about a property that you're listing and you want to get it out there, right? But what I find is that really to develop that expert authority, you need to sort of do things across the board. So for me, even my social media, the stuff that I post I don't post that much. I'm too busy doing other content, right? So a great thing that you can do is and I know like a lot of people, entrepreneurs as well, they say, I'll tell them, I say, write a book. And then they'll go, oh my God, I don't have time to write hello, I don't have time to write a book. I'd have to write hundreds and hundreds of pages. No, you don't. Write a simple guide. Write a simple guide that you can hand out freely to potential clients, to people you're giving appraisals to, something that has your name on it. On the back has your picture, right? And your bio, but it can be a simple guide. Well, this one is like almost like 80 pages in big font, okay? But you can self-publish so easily on Amazon. And if you're smart, I take people through a bestseller campaign where we focus on the Kindle version. And you let your social media friends know, you let your email database know, hey, help me become a number one best-selling author for 99 cents. For just 99 cents, you can help me become a best-selling author with my book, blah, 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 whatever the title is. But creating that immediately in the eyes of the public and the eyes of podcast hosts, let's say, you go up the ranks in your expert authority when you have a book. If you have a bestseller, you go up even higher. So what I say is, instead of just focusing only on social media, take yourself outside of that and think outside the box on how you can elevate your expert authority as an agent. And that might be by creating that guide, that how-to guide, how to spruce up your home in simple ways, how to do things on the cheap, right? How you can prepare for your how you can get the most value for your home. Now that right there is a great gift. It's a great thing to give people. It's a great thing. It's almost like a business card, right?
Yeah.
And it does make people think that you are someone who knows what you're talking about when you write that book. There's other things you can do. Of course, you can have your own podcast show. You
Yeah.
could be a guest on podcasts, but really by thinking outside of that social media box, that's really important, I believe.
Yeah. I love what you shared there. So I want, all of the agents that are listening to this, if you want to be different, be different. How many real estate agents do you know that have a book that has some valuable information for their clients or for the public that they are handing out and using to promote themselves? I can't think of anybody in my particular market that I just came out of that's doing that. So that's a great idea. This might be a little bit more personal. So I'm going to share this with you about my business. Is that what I find for myself personally is if you are just posting on social media so that you are present, that's really not the best strategy. From my standpoint, what you are doing in your business, as a speaker, if I'm speaking, if I'm posting about the things that I'm speaking, taking that content and posting it, that's more valuable. If you're a real estate agent and you are working on any particular listing or any particular deal, posting the things that you're doing in your real business is much more effective than just posting something on social media so people can see that you're there. What are
Yeah.
your thoughts on that?
I agree wholeheartedly, and because we think that it's that same thing as that of that. Well, if I create a website, then people will come and throw money at me, right? Or if I post on social media, people will automatically reach out to me. There's so many other things that you can do that have a lot more power. So that writing that book, and even when I'm talking about the book again, because people think it's too much, a guide. It can be 50 pages. Okay. Doesn't have to be anything huge. So that's something that you can do. You can go to your local radio station, your public radio station, and say, hey, I've got a great idea. I would be happy to once a month or once every other week come on, give you a really quick, short 2 minute, 3 minute snippet about the market, about what's happening, about property values, or about how homeowners, if they're thinking about selling their home, how they can get the most. Would you be interested in that? And you'd be shocked how many people would really, especially radio stations, would be very interested in that, right? So think about things that you can still establish yourself as an expert authority, and that's what's going to bring in the sales. When people see you, see that image all the time, hear you. Now I'm hearing her on the radio. Wait a second. I heard there's so many ways. There is, and it depends on where you're located. But when you walk into a grocery store, or let's say you're in your doctor's office, they have those little television sets and you'll see advertisements come across and people go, oh, it's only up there for a minute, right? Well, those things they embed in your head, and if you're in your local doctor's office, and I see a still an ad for a particular real estate agent, and I see that photo, and I see their name, and
Mm-hmm.
whatever name of the real estate company is, it doesn't matter. I see that person. They're in my community. They're in my doctor's office. They're everywhere, right? And that's what
Right.
you want to do, so that when people do think about when they are going to sell a home or they're going to buy a home, they're going to think of you because they see you in different ways, not just on your social media.
Awesome. So, and I'm going to go back to a question that I wanted to ask you earlier, the expert authority code. You created that. What was that designed? What pain point for entrepreneurs and salespeople and business people? What pain point were they all feeling that you tried to solve with that?
Yes. So for the longest time, I was calling myself a media coach because of what I was doing. I work with people, helping them on their website, helping them create a podcast for their brand, working with them on publishing their books and all those things. And it was just I media coach wasn't connecting with people. And what I
Mm,
realized that with my clients, the majority of my clients did not need a podcast show or couldn't do it, right? Majority of my clients did not just specifically only need me to work on their website as far as the look and feel and the copyright. But what they did need was somebody to take a look at their brand from a fresh perspective, pick out the jewels or the gems and put them in the crown and say, these are the things that we're going to focus in on. All the other talents and gifts that you have, when people come into your world, they're going to learn about those. But you're confusing the marketplace by saying, I do everything for everybody. I sell this, I do that, I do that. It's too confusing. You need to nail down that message, make it simple, easy, and in some cases fun, depending on your personality. But that's what I was finding, was that it was an overall holistic need that my clients had.
Yeah.
They needed help on their branding, on their messaging, and their offer, what they were offering. They were offering too many things. And again, in the beginning, when I was talking to you, is that we tend to focus on what we want to sell. So if I want to sell this stapler, it's a black stapler. My goodness, it's the latest stapler. It's amazing. It does all these things. And for this, it's 50% off. And I'll sell it to you for,
it's a great
half
deal.
the price, right? But your clients are saying, I just want a sandwich. I don't want a stapler. I don't need a stapler. Yeah, but I'm very experienced in stapler selling. And let me tell you. So what happens is that we have this disconnect. And you need to find out, you need to discover what it is that your clients actually need and want. As soon as I did that in my business, it soared.
Yeah,
Normally, historically, October, November, December, it starts to slow down for me, normally, right? This past year, it was the complete opposite. It went up. And that's because I switched and I stopped selling a stapler and I started selling sandwiches to my clients, if that makes sense, right?
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
I love that. So give my listeners or the listeners for the podcast today a takeaway. Let's say that they're kindergarten in their branding. If they're kindergarten students in their branding, what are 3 questions that they need to ask themselves that will get them moving in the right direction?
So I always and originally I would say what comes up when I Google my name, when I Google myself, right? And now I'm changing that to ChatGPT. So if you said, what do you know about Christine Blosdale in your ChatGPT? Tell me about Christine Blosdale. It's going to scour and it's going to look at your digital footprint and it's going to look at what's out there. You want to make sure that what comes back is what you are the message that you're trying to send out there, right? Yeah. So that's really important. The other thing is I always say, you know what? Get in front of different audiences. You never know. I have done probably over 60 interviews on podcast shows, and some shows have large audiences. Some shows have small audiences, but I always accept those invitations to be on the show because you never know who's listening, right? So what I say is create that content, do those videos, write those books, be guests on podcasts, have an unusual angle if you want, okay? Do those free lunch and learns or workshops or webinars. Get out there because you never know who is watching you, who's reading you, who's listening to you. And case in point, I just from a show that's not that huge, I just got 2 new clients this week from people that were listening to the podcast, and they said, I heard you on the show and I really liked your energy. And I wanted to have this conversation with you, and they're going to be working with me now. So act as if that appearance that you're doing or that video that you're doing is hitting the exact person that you want to. That's magic. And it's not to get woo-woo on you, but that energy that will come back and it'll help you in many ways. And then the third thing I always say is if you're able to come up with a mantra or a motto or a key phrase, a tagline, those are really great to have on your videos, on your website as well. Mine is this, and I say it quite often. Remember this: if you're not seen and heard, you're not hired. Yeah. It's simple, it's easy to remember, and people, when they hear it, it sticks. So if you have something like that, a tagline that you can create, even better.
Awesome. Well, I really enjoyed the conversation that we've had today. I know that you showed the book that you had about marketing, so I'd like for you to plug that. I also know that you're planning to write a book specifically for real estate agents, so maybe you can share a little bit about what your plans are for that and how can they best get connected with you.
Yes. So I will throw out a couple important locations for people to discover all of the different things that I do, all the different programs, and to get information about the books that I've written. It's 5, and I'm working on a 6th one right now. They can go to expertauthoritycoach.com. That's the main website, expertauthoritycoach.com. And if they want to book a free strategy call with me, there's no pressure. It's 30 minutes. We sit down. You tell me what you're doing. I give you my feedback and what I would do if I were you. And that is available. You can book it today, and I'll see you tomorrow. And that's available at chatwithchristineb.com. That's my direct booking link. But the Social Media and Branding Survival Guide, that's the latest book. And I'm cheeky, right? Okay. So the subtitle is Digital Marketing So Irresistible, Even Your Ex Will Want to Follow You. And I've crossed out on the cover, I've crossed out X. It's because the book is it's not boring. It's funny. It's fun. It's an easy read. And so again, my brand, which is that energy of having fun, is incorporated in the book, but it also gives you some tips and strategies. And yes, I am in the next few months, I will do one that's just for real estate agents. So it'll be the Social Media and Branding Survival Guide for real estate agents. I'll probably come up with some little cute little subtitle there so people know that it's going to be a fun read. But yeah, those are all available. You can get access to all of that at my website, which is expertauthoritycoach.com.
Well, Christine, it's been such a pleasure talking with you today. I loved your energy and your message, and I'm sure that the audience today is going to agree.
Thank you, Mark. It's been an absolute pleasure. I adore the real estate agents because my wife is one, and I know how hard you all work. Let's get that misconception too, that myth about real estate agents. Let's get rid of that and talk about authenticity and create some of your expert authority. Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Thank you, Christine. That was clear, practical, and exactly what self-employed professionals need to hear. If you're listening and you got value today, don't just agree with it, apply it. Take one idea you heard, tighten your message this week, and test it in real conversations. Clarity builds trust, and trust creates income. To learn more about Christine Blosdale, visit expertauthoritycoach.com and check out the Expert Authority Coach podcast. And if you want to help building real skills that hold up under pressure, trust-based selling, communication, discipline, and positioning that sounds like you, reach out to me. If you'd like a 90-minute time-tested mastermind workshop where we solve one roadblock and you walk away with a clear next move and a stronger plan, I'd love to work with you. Thanks for listening to Time Tested Mastery Life Lessons Sell. If this episode helped you, share it with one person who needs it, and be sure to subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. I'll see you next time.